Welcome to my crazy hair day. I believe it is the 24th. I think it's Monday. I was gonna go to the bank because miraculously there was a hold put for fraudulent activity on my PNC bank account, but I still have money in there. I found out that even though I put a hold on my mail at the post office in Phoenix, Arizona, specifically around South Mountain, that the post office clerks are going through my mail now, probably being paid, and Carl Huff probably being paid. Carl Huff is the one that pretty much stole my intellectual property. Well, I guess you guys are really gonna love my intellectual property, where it's really talking about you guys stealing from me and, harassing me and stuff like that. Like, you're so sad that you even have to steal what you did to me and then put it out there, and then you think like you should get money for it. You might want to check, because actually I get 25%, aside from the fact that it's illegal anyway, and I'll probably be taking you to court for that. There was something else. Oh, I found out the person I'm living with has stolen. I think he tried to do something with my Social Security because my purse was messed with, but it could have been his wife. They only got married because he's an illegal immigrant. And I told him I would help him with his citizenship, and I literally sent him a link. And I guess because she's doing witchcraft and putting like her period blood in the food, but I've been cooking him food, so And then I guess because he has lustful desires and I am not attracted whatsoever, and I've already almost got physical with him because he keeps on imposing himself on me. And I said, well, you don't like it if a guy comes and touches you there? And he's like, no. And I said, exactly. So why would you do that to me when I tell you I don't like that? I don't know if he has a learning disability. I really don't believe it's a language barrier. I think he just has no respect. So, yeah, that's kind of an inconvenient situation. Aside from that, so somebody stole my Social Security. Somebody ripped up my birth certificate, which I'm really ticked off because it's ripped almost all the way down. I am very, very careful with my paperwork, and I was, it's green, my favorite color. It's my birth certificate, so whether it's real or not. Being a targeted individual, we don't have real birth certificates, I don't believe. They were ones that were created to monitor us, like I said in another video. But again, people have been hacking my phone, hacking my Facebook account, my Instagram account. My Instagram account was suspended because I believe Carl Huff is claiming that it's their intellectual property. Oh man, aren't you gonna love the next steps I got for you guys? Yeah. So it's just really ridiculous. Speaking of targeted individuals, let's see, what was I going to say about targeted individuals? Oh, it was about the Social Security. They give us the 369 at the beginning of the Social Security. That's how we're all identified as. I don't know what the meaning of the numbers are at the moment, but I do know that there is, if you write for 21 days, three sentences in the morning, 6 in the middle of the day, 9 at night, it kind of helps with manifestation. So maybe that's what the 369 is referring to for all of the targeted individuals that are put on the terrorist screening database illegally. Right, Patel? Aside from that, so we all probably have fake, birth certificates. I would definitely suggest looking into a couple of the posts that I have put up of other people that are a little bit more informed than I am about the straw man idea, taking your name because it's in capital letters, taking your name as the corporation that we are given in our birth certificate, and then stating that you are the real person. I had that information, but it was also deleted off my phone because they don't want to let me go. They don't want to let me go. Right, Beyonce? You just don't want to let me go. But I would definitely suggest for other targeted individuals, if you want to assist in getting your wealth back, because that's what they did. They decided to take not just our material wealth, but our abundance, our spiritual relationship with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Like I said before, the mind is a very powerful thing. And, if you think about it, why is it that the human mind is still not understood? Why is it that psychology is so fascinated by personality disorders, right? Because we haven't figured it out yet. Why haven't we figured it out? With all the technology, with all the alien technology we have, why is that the one area that we just don't understand? Like we see x-rays, when you think about certain sensations or terror, certain areas of the brain light up. Why do they light up? What are those areas for? It's really interesting. And the agenda for directed energy weapons, which is, like ventriloquism, using frequencies, usually dual frequencies or pulses in order to audio frequencies and audio pulses in order to infiltrate our minds for the voice to skull or voice, God voice, technology that they use to create synthetic schizophrenia, so that they can put targeted individuals in a mental institute so that they can do further experimentation without any accountability. So, and that's exactly what they try to do with all targeted individuals. I know my targeted family, you guys already know, but I'm just putting it out there for the people that don't, which is basically they want us to do three things. As a targeted individual, they will monitor our lives. They will stay covert for as long as they need to gather data. Once they see a routine in our psychology, a routine in our environment, that we do the same repetitive stuff that they think they know how we're going to respond to things, that's when it becomes overt. Then you have people following you, staring at you, stalking you, and you're like, and then you see it. And you're like, why are these people following me? And then if you've had a surgery before, but usually you're chipped at birth. So, but if you had a surgery before, that's when they are able to implant, nanotechnology is self-assembling. So they could just put, what do they call it? The dust. They put it in your food, they put it in chemtrails, they put it in everything so that it creates self-assembling, electrical devices to monitor our brain functions, our blood, our heartbeats, everything, so that they use us as a nice big experiment. And after they do all of this surveillance and spend so much money, which is our wealth, that's what they're doing. They're taking the straw man, and we're technically dead on paper because we haven't stated that we aren't dead. And they take our wealth, our material wealth, and then they decide that, we're going to use it to pay people to follow, to monitor. We're going to use it for the state and things like that. Sorry, I'm cooking at the moment. And we're going to use that to surveillance these people. We're going to use it to monitor them, to have their jobs do exactly the same thing, and then they purposely make sure that they don't know, like for me, what they liked to do is they would put somebody, how do I explain it? They would, after I would go to work or something, they'd have somebody come in shortly after, kind of look like they work there or something, right? And then they'd have them talk to the boss and say, hey, this person is under investigation. We have a FISA warrant on them, blah, blah, blah. Don't say anything. Don't tell anybody. Just act like everything's normal. And that's when you start noticing people aren't acting normal. People following you at work, needing to sit next to you, all of a sudden looking at everything you're doing on your phone, talking about it. The street theater begins. And as a targeted individual, it's annoying. But this is what happens when it goes from covert surveillance to overt surveillance. And then, they just do psychological tests to see what you can handle. How long can you handle it? What are your responses? Can we continue triggering these responses? You know, and I fell victim to it constantly, you know, because again, if you don't know what's going on and know that this is intentional, this is an intentional mousetrap, you know, of course you're like, well, why does this keep happening to me? You know, I constantly was like, why do I keep losing jobs? Why do I keep having problems with people at work for no reason? I do my job, I keep my head down, I'm not bothering anybody. You know, why do I constantly have people talking mess about me? Like, I don't do anything. I'm a nice person. I keep to myself. I'm quiet. I don't do drugs. I don't, you know, have any weird, you know, addictions. I don't do weird stuff toward people. I don't have, you know, negative feelings toward people. Like, why does this keep happening to me? So that was what I felt for a long time. So as a targeted individual, this is what it comes. It becomes overt surveillance, stalking, and harassment. And then when you have endurance, like one of my friends, Derek, who lives in Wisconsin, he's a very, very sweet, big guy, like a teddy bear. And his wife or girlfriend, they've been together. I think they have two kids. And she has been having an affair with his brother. He doesn't know that. Well, I told him that. I actually got a download from God Almighty because ever since I've been reading these tarot cards, I've been curious, and other people, you know, I've been looking at some of their stuff and deciphering a lot of things. But yeah, Derek, he's a sweetheart, and he has been one of those people that's very enduring. Like, he'll deal with all the verbal assaults, all the harassment, all the shut up, man, whatever, you're trash, you're nothing. Very giving guy, very sweet guy. And but what they do is, like, he's had his job for years because they couldn't kick him out because he endured. He was able to have that resilience that I don't. Because when people mess with me, I go back. And then sooner or later, they're gonna lie. And it's like a safety violation, a this violation, you know, like, it's just crazy. But no, he has a lot of perseverance. I do applaud him. But he's scatterbrained. See, for me, I'm like, I don't like this. Oh, I lost a job. Okay, go to the next one. Like, I'm very methodical. I'm very strategic. If something happens, I have plan A through Z already in my head. Which one am I going to choose? Any of them. They'll all work. I made the plans intentionally to work. That's the way I work. But not everybody works that way. And so going back to Derek, he is very scatterbrained. So I had to kind of help him try to find his focus. But, you know, as targeted individuals, we're also targeted to betray each other. And I know that he has betrayed me as well. And it's unfortunate. You know, there's a lot of people in Wisconsin that don't like me. I've never been to the place. But, you know, it is what it is. Hate crimes, you know. And yeah, so being a targeted individual, when it becomes overt, it's a psychological, and it's literally just a psychological experiment. Are you going to get physical if somebody tries to get in your face? Are you not? What are you going to do if somebody hits you? Oh, trust me, I let everybody get that one hit in. You better get a good hit in if you get me. Because once you hit me, now it's self-defense. I can kill you. And it's still, I will claim self-defense. I don't hate anybody enough to kill them. But if it gets to that point, self-defense, because you did the first blow. So you might not want to do that with me. But, you know, it's just the way that they do the psychological games is really, they think it's strategic because, you know, they focused on the patterns. You know, she always takes this route to work. She always drives this way. She doesn't like when people do this. She has, road rage. She doesn't like when this happens, so let's keep triggering it. Let's see what happens if we keep triggering the same thing over and over and over and over. That's what they do. They do that to either oversensitize you or desensitize you. And the whole point is you need to get desensitized. As a targeted individual, don't let it faze you. I know that's really hard to say. I went through 10 years of it. Well, 39. But extensively since 2019, when Christopher Olsen, that's another one. I'll bring that up in another video. But Christopher Olsen of IE Screen Printing in Riverside, California, actually participated. He had 4 people following me, and that was because of some idiot named Russell Simmons, but not the Russell Simmons, but some stupid little nobody hick white boy named Russell Simmons, who was beating up on his black girlfriend Keisha. That's a whole nother story. I distanced myself from them, and they were like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Hi, bye," you know. But another friend didn't distance herself, and then he almost got physical with her, and she's former military, black girl, Damara. Anyway, long story short, they followed me. They found out where I lived, and Christopher Olsen, his brother, was in Harupa Valley. Deputy Olsen made a false claim to the FBI, claiming that I was, you know, a problem, suspect. And hence, I was put on the terrorist screening database. I found that out in 2021. I also found out in 2021, supposedly, I was in the adult industry when I did a background check on myself, but I could not do a background check saying that I was who I was. I put a background check saying I was somebody else looking into me. Because if you put it in as yourself, you're not going to get all the information. Put it in as somebody else, because then, oh, all of a sudden, you're allowed all that information. Isn't that the wrong way around? I have a right to know what files are on me. So then I started going to the police departments and saying, I want all information. And you go with a written document, you sign it, and you say, I want all information, records, camera footage, whatever, audio recordings that you have pertaining to me, my address, my social security, my birthday, my emails, my phone numbers. Oh, they did not like me. Riverside was like, and I was like, yeah. Oh, well, here you go. And I was like, that's not the full spectrum of how long you've been following me, harassing me, stalking me, and creating. I mean, like, Riverside, the police department had over 3 or 4 garages of their unregistered vehicles. Literally all those vehicles, when I went through, were stalking me. When I got that footage of all their vehicles, that's when they started hacking me. That's when they destroyed my Toshiba, my HP laptops, took my information from my Toshiba, which were pictures, which were clean nude, but they were my pictures. I didn't post them anywhere. And then they used that, put it on the dark web, claimed I was a prostitute. I had a site that I was making, and I did it only for massaging. It was provocative, but I was still fully clothed. And I'm pretty sure because they got into my physicist11@hotmail.com, they're still using that one, as well as my hyena11@hotmail.com. Those are emails that I had since I was like 15. And it's even on my credit score. I can't do anything with my credit, and I can't even take it off of freeze because I don't have access to that. Because my brother is a computer specialist. He hacked my stuff. He has all that access. That's how they were able to take out car loans in my credit. Oh, so many things. Mortgage loans. Christopher Olsen tried to take out a mortgage loan too. Going back to Christopher Olsen, which I wasn't going to talk about, but let's talk about him since I already brought him up, right? So his brother, Harupa Valley deputy, he's no longer anymore. Anyway, yeah, so the first 4 months was when after 4 months, because they were hacking my phone, so I couldn't find any information on gang stalking, groups of people stalking me. I couldn't find anything. And so I changed up my routine, and in the middle of the night, I got up and I started researching. They didn't expect that. And I came up with the word gang stalking, and after I got the word gang stalking, I was like, oh, what is gang stalking? Please do tell. And that was when I realized what was really going on, and I was just like, wow, this is what it is. And then I found out that there's over 200 pages of residents in California, the state, in all different counties, over 200 pages. I think it was 210 pages of similar accounts of being gang stalked, followed, break-ins that are unexplained, because they would break into my apartment all the time. They would put what do they call these millimeter diameter devices into your walls, and then you could smell the paint afterward. They really thought I didn't know what I was doing. I started cutting up the walls in my apartment. I didn't care. I do drywall. I can put it back together. You know, like, come on now. And they would use, like technology where if you walked to the door, obviously when you walk out, you would break the circuit. So then it would alert them that, oh, she's at the door. She's leaving. Time to go. And they always had somebody ready to follow you, ready for whatever. And again, if you keep your routine, that's how they know. Oh, she goes to work every day at 3, so she's going to leave at 2:30 to get to work. Let's all harass her at work. I had 2 jobs, and it got to a point where after I started my second job, 2 full-time jobs, I couldn't get to work because they were flooding the highway. They were flooding the streets. Like, I could get there a couple times, like, perfect. I was like, oh, I got 10 minutes left. And then it got to a point where I kept seeing the same cars hanging out at my job, hanging out on the street when I was going, every time. All of a sudden, they were all my coworkers. All these cloned human hybrids that they are paying with illegally used dead people's social securities to validate. That's what they do to us as targeted individuals. Going back to Christopher Olsen. After 4 months, when I figured it out, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do? And then I figured out the police were part of it. They were paying people at 6 a.m. at the detention center $100 to follow my vehicles. So, they didn't know, the community didn't know what they were doing it for. My vehicles all had tinted windows. They didn't even know that it was me. I had one guy go, oh, are you here for the $100 to follow a gray car with blue rims? That was my car, my Mitsubishi. He's a nice gray car, and I had 2 blue rims on the front. That's what they did. And I just looked at him like, what the? Like, I just couldn't believe it. And then, anyway, so I think in 2020, I wrote Kamala Harris when she was still our congresswoman. And then she kind of hush-hushed, put it on a petition in online. I guess they reopened the petition from 2018 about being a targeted individual. Now, when the government says, hey, why don't you sign this? What they're doing is getting names so they know who to monitor and who to get rid of. Okay? That's what they're doing. It's not like they care. They already know we're on the list. There were over 2 million people on the terrorist screening database. Why? And they're all Americans. Usually, if we have domestic terrorism, it's a pretty easy SWAT team, go get them. You have evidence. Why are they all Americans? Why are they all Americans that don't have criminal records? Because they said something. Oh, and a lot of things, especially with Anna Toledo, who decided out of the kindness of her heart to take on the Supreme Court and the actual legal system about this, found that basically what I'm saying is you have like 2 million people on this terrorist screening database. They're all Americans. Oh, most of them were whistleblowers for things that were happening, journalists, activists, for the Black Lives Matter, journalists for American, and like, for example, Venezuela, when Venezuela's dictator was taken out, the dictator that took power was exactly what the United States was paying funding for. They wanted that dictator. Venezuela itself originally kept the dictator they had because that dictator was for the people. We are orchestrating wars. And when you have journalists that actually want to give real news, not fake news, Trump, that's what they do. They put them on the terrorist screening database, claiming that they're terrorists, so that they can get FISA warrants for surveillance, for monitoring their audio recordings on their phones, monitoring their locations, putting GPS trackers. I had multiple GPS trackers in my car, especially my Pontiac. I wasn't too good with electrical, especially not with cars. That's the only reason I left it. I had 2. Then I reported one of them to, I think it was the FCC. Oh, guess what? FCC called me in 24 hours, but within 48 hours, somebody went into my car and took it. They didn't want proof since I already reported it. So the government knew. The government knew. They were participating in doing this to people. And then, like I said, Anna Toledo went to court. And after, she had a motion being like, well, why are there 2 Yeah, I think it was 2 million. Excuse me, I said billion. 2 million people on the terror screening database. And yet they're all Americans. They're just activists. They're parents that said something at the board of supervisors at school, that they didn't like. They were kids doing activists. I was one of them at Cal Poly Pomona. I remember sitting there in the cafeteria. I don't even remember what I was protesting at the time. And those were the majority of the people on the terror screening database, not people with criminal records, not people that have previous history of doing violence, nothing. And then that list went down to 280,000. Twice the amount of the 144, which are historically chosen people of God. By the way, fun fact. Now, they had to single it out, because Anatolita already put him on blast. So now it's, twice as much as the 144, because they're looking for the next generation of us. I am one of the generations right now. I have been for decades, 20 years. So there's going to be another 144 coming. It's like every 20 years. Okay. So the next people who awaken to enlighten and create high vibration for this planet are into fruition as of next year? Because I was supposed to be doing this at 20. I'm 39. My nephew, Ezekiel, is supposed to succeed me. In my understanding, anyway. This is my interpretation. He's a reincarnation of my grandmother. So he's born on her birthday. And my little sister was going to kill him. My brother is going to kill him. My brother already killed his youngest son. Because he probably was a reincarnation, but I don't know. I never had a relationship with him. So I have no idea. But this is what they use targeted individuals for. So after I reported that to Kamala Harris, a year later, Donald Trump's former Secretary of State for his first term bought the business from Christopher Olson. But Christopher Olson continued to run it as if it was his own. The only reason he bought it is because he didn't want it to get audited. Because I reported it. And I reported that they were doing drug trafficking. Fentanyl. Within the next 3 years after I reported it, fentanyl really riddled Riverside, the city in California. I don't know what it looks like now. A year ago, it was trying to recuperate. It was doing a little better. But this is what they're using targeted individuals for. This is how they're destroying communities. And how they're manipulating the people in the communities, the actual real people, not the hybrid humans. And to go against each other. They use the community, block watch in Riverside. I don't think it was called block watch. It was neighborhood watch. Next door. There was another app that they used. It's sick. Anyway, I think I've talked a little bit too much. I just wanted to bring that up. We're chipped at birth. We're used as a straw man. We don't have any rights because we weren't educated. And not just us as targeted individuals, people. All general people. We were not educated that we have a level of developing wealth where we don't have to live like this struggle. The problem with the United States is it is a capitalistic country. It is all about money and gaining power. And if somebody is playing chess and they know how to stranglehold the country into gaining power by lying, omitting information to the people, and still giving them the false sense of this is the land of the free and brave and, the dream world, then they've succeeded. And they did. This has been something implemented for over 100 years. It's been refined for the last 70, since the 50s, with directed energy weapons for behavioral modification, for implanted memories, etc., etc. And then when you put into effect other people who participate with dark magic and sorcery that should really think about what they're doing to help other people, not to hurt people, you know, it creates a really huge negative hell on earth. I just wanted to say that. Anyway, I got to do something about this. I'm making some chicken and I found some flour. So I was like, ooh, let me use that, put some oregano. I really wish I had some paprika. But yeah, anyway, food for thought. Hopefully this is not too long. It's 30 minutes. I'm sorry. And I wanted to have something else up here before I kind of go MIA. I have a couple things I want to do. Like I said, the person I'm living with, I know he stole my social security and used it or whatever. I'm tolerating him. He's really pretty useless. I don't know. He's an NPC. He was supposed to be part of my soul tribe, and he was when I met him. And yeah, I think that girl that he's with, that period blood in the food. I need to get rid of the food. It's in the fridge. He isn't eating it either, which is good. But I anointed and cleansed the area, but he didn't. I was hoping he would buy some sage, but he didn't buy any. Ah, shit. He didn't buy any sage. So, oh Jesus. But there's a lot of cockroaches too. I'm not exactly used to living in a place with cockroaches. I remember my mom had that situation with my dad in Michigan, and she was like, "You better do something about this." Anyway, I won't be here much longer. I got some plans, but I'm doing okay. I just have a lot on my mind. Anyway, I hope everybody takes care. This is where the light's at. I hope everybody takes care. Don't mind my mess. You know, it's kind of hard to take care of yourself when you're on the run from being falsely accused of stuff. The wonderful life of being targeted. Have a beautiful day, everybody. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Protect yourselves under the blood of Jesus. Arm yourselves in the armor of God. And, you know, no weapon formed against our collective will prosper. It will not. It is said, and so it is. I love you. I love you, my peoples. I appreciate the content you guys put up. I love watching you guys. I love listening to your wisdom. And I love you. Have a good day.